It is a pleasure to be speaking with one of my favorite vocalists and entertainers who defies category because she can and has done it all. From big band and jazz and the swing of Count Basie to sultry R&B and B and everything in between. And she's expanding her talents to the world of acting. It's a pleasure to welcome Ledisi. How you doing today, sis?
I'm great. Greg, good to see you. Thanks for having me today.
It is a pleasure, and this is for a good thing too. The celebration of National Girls and Women's in Sports Day.
Mm.
And, recently you had the opportunity to perform Ledisi Live, a tribute to Nina Simone that was aired on PBS. Based on your performance and, what went into that, what does Nina Simone, her life, music, and messages mean to you?
Well, she's a huge inspiration, woman of color who celebrated being Black. Her Blackness was in the forefront of who she was. Also, her piano playing is just ridiculous. One of the most amazing pianists, and loved her genres. I don't think she loved jazz that much, the title jazz,
Right.
she loved what she did enough to use it as a vessel to tell her truth with political truth. She was civil rights activist, and I just love her fearlessness and her boldness to just be. And that's what inspired me. My mom is pretty much like that, and she was the one who introduced me to her. It was actually a play that I wrote with my husband called The Legend of Little Girl Blue, about my relationship with my mother and Nina and myself growing into being who I am. And those two women really, I mean, if you see on my wall, it's like Mahalia, my mom and I.
Right.
And above me is my picture of Nina Simone. So they really influenced me just to be fearless and just get a path of my own and be okay with that, and not try to fit in a box with other people and compare or compete. Just be me.
I think that's been a big part of your career. You've been able to just be you, and as I mentioned, defy categories. You mentioned Nina Simone being one who loves her genres and not necessarily being boxed in or held into that category of jazz. For you, what does jazz mean? What does the art form mean? And it's kind of vague to some people, but for you, what does jazz mean overall?
The word jazz means nothing to me.
Right.
But the energy in the word, meaning what's underneath it and around it, the people that created it, its stature, is what matters to me. There's freedom. It means freedom. There's a different form of freedom that you can get in jazz, in the title jazz, that you can't get anywhere else, that I force everywhere else. But when I sing under that umbrella, I'm free to be myself even more than any other music I've been able to be. And even if the critics don't consider me jazz or accept me in the jazz, I still go there to find my freedom. It's part of my root. I'm from New Orleans, so
right.
We're
The
raised
home
with
of
that, the home, and then carried that to Oakland, to the Bay Area. So It's like, that's just part of who I am. And I didn't fit in Oakland. They were just like, just do this. And I'm like, but there's so much other music.
Right.
But jazz means freedom. The title of it means something. Just the umbrella, the people under it, means freedom to me every time I get under that. And there's a discipline. The big band,
right.
Oh my gosh, it's a whole nother beast.
Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, because I've seen you with the Count Basie band, and then I've seen you with when you've been in the quote unquote R&B thing, and either way, you bring such an energy that just that heightens the music,
But our legends did that. I'm only doing what I was taught and what I learned from. I'm extending it on to the next generation. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what I'm told. That's what I was poured into to do, is to give back. And I'm just extending what Ella did, and Sarah, and Patty Austin, who's always on chirping on me. You know what I mean? She's my one of my mentors, and she doesn't play with the music. So I have those legends, Diane Reeves,
right,
Kristen McBride. I mean, I'm around people who do this for a living and have it in their blood, and they're also genreless to me.
You know, I was about to say, you know,
Yeah.
everybody that you've just named who has been put into that category of jazz, each of those people you've named are people that to me live without category. I mean, they're just music, you know?
Music. Thank you, Greg. Say it, because that's what it comes down to. It's just music. That's
Right.
it.
Well,
how do you contain? I wouldn't contain a voice like Patty or mine or Diane and just put them in this one box. There's so much music out there to dance to,
right?
Feel. But anyway, go on. I'm just going on and on.
No, that's cool.
I
So
love
many
talking
different
to
forms
you.
of
I miss
expression.
you.
I miss you too. You know, here's a virtual hug.
Okay. It's been too long.
So, for those who've never heard Nina before, or who haven't had the opportunity to see her performances, how would you describe Nina Simone?
Unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Like water and fire together. It has static. She's Africa. She's Black. She is intentional. And the stories, the songs she chose, they're intentional. And just be open for a wave, man. It's just one of the best. If you ever, my favorite performance of hers is at the Montreal Jazz Festival. And it's just her and a drummer.
Really?
On piano. I didn't see a bass player there. Maybe I was wrong. I didn't see. But she dances. She gets up and dances in the middle. She hollers at the audience. It's freedom. She's doing exactly what I would do at home. Or she made the stage hers. It wasn't about, oh, you're at no, you're going to do what I want to do. There's a command there. Just be ready, be open, just let her, just fire water. Fire water is all I can think of. Because there's a flow that happens with her that's just beautiful. But she's a firecracker. It's just like, boom. And right. I admire that. I admire that.
How would you say her music empowers or speaks to different categories like women, specifically Black women?
I think her music tells us it's okay to be unapologetically who you are, whatever that is for you. It gives the sound to the words you can't say. Mm-hmm. She gives, it's okay to not have all these things and to be at your purest form with your hair, whatever that is, right. Or where you're at, just celebrate culture. And that's what I love about Nina for Black women. She's Black, she's a Black woman, and she's all right with it. And we're loud sometimes, we're boisterous, we say whatever we feel and unapologetically. And that's what we love about her. It says it's okay to be that.
Right.
And she did it in a time where it was completely unacceptable. People were in nice skirts and dresses and being all clean and Motown-ish. She was like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
She was telling the audience, sit down, shut up. You know what I mean? It's like, and that when I started, I didn't even know she did that till years later, but I was doing it in my shows in the Bay Area when I started. And it's like, oh, wow, I was actually free. I was free. Somebody tamed me. You know what I mean?
Well, I love what you said about she putting a sound to the words that we can't say. you know, wow, she was just power.
And not everyone agreed. Not everyone agreed with her, and she did not care. It did not matter. Just
Right.
say it and speak it like a little kid. You just say it. You know, the kids are awesome. They tell it. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
love that freedom. That's a certain freedom you have. We have it, but we lose it along the way, worrying about what other people think.
You know, she said once, and I'm paraphrasing this, but that artists have to speak to what's happening at the time. And she was definitely one who spoke to what was happening in her time. Um, how do you feel her music empowers or speaks to protest and activism?
Well, it's pretty clear.
Hmm.
Um, I just think she chose her songs were intentional. They were very clear. Mississippi, goddamn. It's the unheard voices that are tired. She spoke for it. Her music speaks for that. It says, no, I'm tired of this. You're not getting away with this. I'm going to
Right.
talk about it. It's definitely a beautiful soundtrack in a different to activism, different from Marvin Gaye with what's going on. Completely different.
Hmm.
He did it nicely, but it still had impact.
Right.
It sounds smooth and it's ooh. She's like, no, you know, it's completely
I'm gonna show
different.
you what's going on.
Okay, he's like, I don't like this, and God damn it, I don't. You know that it's clear. I mean, me explain it is dumb. It's like play the record. It
Right.
tells. It says it for yourself. It's like I'm not laughing about it. I'm just saying she's very clear and intentional. That's the part I'm saying. Her music says it all. There's nothing metaphoric or poetic. It's just what it is. And that's what I love about her. I want love. I want to receive love. I want to be respected. Give me what I deserve. It's that crown she carries around. Every performance, even in her lowest, she still had regard me as queen. Oh, and so when we're protesting and when we're out there marching, that music says, her music says, I demand. It's not smooth and buttery
Right.
like the other protest songs. So that's what I love. That's how her music affects now. And when she did it when she was younger, so it even had more impact. And she spoke to the younger artist back then. So it resonates even more. That's timeless. That's what I want for my
Indeed.
career. Things like that.
Her voice today still speaks to the younger generation, you know, as well as the current and contemporary generation, you know. And one of those songs that really stands out is the song "Feeling Good."
Yeah.
In your mind, what is the significance of that song "Feeling Good" in America in 1969?
Cool. I wonder why she chose that song. I never know the answer. Do you? Like, I'm really being honest. And when she sings it, it's so beautiful. It's the most lightest version of her, other than I wish I knew how it would feel to be free.
Right.
You know, it's a reflective tone that she gives off. But feeling good is like an expression at the end of it, just vibrant, like the sun, like fire again, this explosion. But the way she starts it is real sweet and reflective, but still has power. That's her voice. She can't run from that.
Right. You know, and looking at what was going on during that time. I mean, 69, you look at the year 68 when, you know,
Yeah,
there
Martin
were,
Luther King had just died, right?
right.
And a lot was going on. We had burnings and riots.
So you know, it seems like, you know, "Feeling Good" may have been that moment of exhale.
Finally, I'm seeing some stuff happen. You're seeing
Right.
what I'm seeing. That could have been it. Who knows? I'm not Nina. You know what I mean? We could only guess.
Right. Well, for today, what do you feel the significance of that song is? I mean, in this moment of global pandemic, you know, the shifting political and economic climate, the racial unrest, Black Lives Matter, which is, you know, another form of civil rights and activism, and you know, John Legend performed it
Yeah.
at the inauguration. But for you, what do you think the significance is of that song today in today's climate?
Finally, the pandemic made us sit down and pay attention. You couldn't run from your computer now because it was your only way into the world, and you had to see, really see what the world is. And that felt good to finally see people coming together and facing what America, the underbelly of it, of what it truly is. We had to look. You couldn't run from that. Seeing George Floyd be killed, everyone saw it. Even if you didn't want to see it, you were going to see it. It's like God said, okay, we have to all see what it really is. When we didn't have time and the world was open, we didn't have time to see all this. Everybody has to see themselves in the world. Is that me? I've been ignoring that. So what's my
Right.
accountability? What's my part in this whole thing? So yeah, that feels good to see. It felt good. I was afraid, nervous for people because of the pandemic, but I was proud to see these young people out in the street just saying enough is enough and fighting back the way it was back then when Nina came with
Right.
Feeling Good. It's the same energy. And I see changes. I do. But it took death and, like everything else, people falling apart for it to finally be seen and heard. And that part I don't like, but that's what happens. And it's the worst. But the result is you have to see what America has under
Okay.
it, around it, in it. We have to see it.
Right. You got to take that look.
Yeah.
You have to take that look and then act accordingly.
See, you already know. But accountability is the huge part of this.
Indeed.
And I'm looking at everybody now. So what are you doing?
Right. Right.
I'm glad you're vice president and president, but what are y'all going to do to change? You
Right.
know,
So what does that mean now? You know?
yes, exactly. We're
Right.
all paying attention now. So it's good. It took all of that for us to finally get it. And that's what Nita wanted. She wanted you to see and get it and make the changes. She wanted Black people to really get it.
And Nina was one, you know, looking at her career, there was a point where, actually, probably for a large amount of time, where Nina may have felt that she didn't have representation. I mean, wanting to be a classical pianist and then getting turned down because of the color of her skin.
Yeah.
You know, and in today's climate, you know, this being National Girls and Women's Sports Day, there's also that look at representation. I mean, of course, there's the WNBA, there's athlete activism, which the Sisters of the WNBA are at the forefront of.
Yeah.
But how do you see that representation being reflected today? Or do you see much representation being reflected today for Black women and girls?
I think it's gotten a lot better than it was when I started. I think definitely people are holding people accountable to make sure that we're represented in every circle of entertainment, of sports, everywhere. And we have so many role models of great women that are making sure that happens. Serena
Right.
Williams she was around legends who poured into her. And so she made sure, like I said, that it's passed on. It may not have happened for her during her time the way she wanted it, but she's going to damn sure make sure that it happens for those behind her. So I love that. And
Right.
I see that. even little progress is better than none. So for me, we're winning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes inches to
Listen,
add up to a mile.
we can do better, but I'm just saying it's better than nothing. I remember when there was nothing. Me Too was not around and things were going on, you know what I mean? For
Right.
years. And now you see the whole thing falling apart and coming to a thing, you know? So I like to keep my opinions about certain things to myself, but there is progress. When there's nothing happening, like when Nina was around, that was probably even harder for Black women back then, even harder. So, oh.
Well, you and I are going to have to get together and have one of those conversations.
We need a real conversation. Like, we're doing the interview. It's great. I love it. But we need a Greg and Ledisi talk, a sit down.
Right.
I have to edit a little bit. I'm like, oh, wait, now we're interviewing.
Sister, it is so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. And I'm glad you're still holding up the light, man, and making sure information is being heard and seen. And artists like myself, I appreciate you all the way.
I'm just a branch on a tree, but you know, I look back every time I see you, every time I hear your name, you know, I look back at, like, you know, Cafe du Nord, or
oh yeah,
Who's Plank at Babylon, or, you know, just you know, Oakland Youth Chorus. I mean, just,
yeah,
sister, you know, you got some Oakland love here.
I love the Bay Area. You know,
and you got
that.
Oakland pride right with you.
Well, you see, when you got on the Zoom, I'm like, oh, Greg, and then start talking and looking at your records and acting like I'm at your house.
Well, I see the guitar and the Fender Rhodes in the background.
Yeah,
too,
man,
so.
this is my haven too. So,
Okay.
you know, this is where my music is. It makes me feel home. So I'm sharing too.
Well, right on. Well, I'm going to end this, but don't hang up yet. I want to pass
I'm right here.
my information on to you.
Thanks
Okay.
for having me. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to give a big thanks to Ledisi for joining us for this National Girls and Women in Sports Day, and wishing her much continued success in her career, and blessings all around, sister.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much.